Today I decided to do a short video responding to a question I was sent. I was going to put it in What the Fuck Tuesday, but after Candace and I talked about it, we decided that it would be better as a standalone video because it's a topic that comes up over and over again. In the advice column, we see it all over the internet, we see it on the wall here on this channel. People are in relationships and I'm scratching my head trying to figure out, how did this happen? So let's go over this young man's letter. So he says, I may sound bitter, but I just genuinely don't understand how it happens. I know many relationships are held together by lust and fear and aren't healthy, but they still require a lot of time and effort and some level of stability, right? I've met down and out drug addicts, people with such crippling anxiety that they can barely talk, lazy, unemployed, overweight gamers, etc., who somehow have partners. I don't mean to throw these people under the bus, but they defy the typical advice to, quote, work on yourself first, end quote. I just don't understand how most people seem to slip into relationships quite easily, while some higher caliber people I know struggle. Is it just that some people have no standards and jump to anyone who shows them interest? Is it that they're more persistent or more willing to be vulnerable? Is it luck? And I'm going to say depending upon the situation, it could be any of those or a combination thereof, or some other things that I will go over as we go through this slideshow. So, our advice show here on this channel is called What the Fuck Tuesday, and it's called that because most of the questions that we get in, you're sitting there scratching your head trying to figure out what happened here. What motivated you to choose to be in this relationship and be so involved and refuse to let go so hard that you want to write an advice columnist about how to save this hot mess relationship. Quote, we're going to call it a relationship because that's what they call, but it's just some quick, unbelievable drama to me. I don't know. But I think one of the main issues is that most women don't ask themselves some very important questions before they decide that this man is going to be their boo thing, their partner, their baby daddy, their boyfriend, their fiance, or their husband. From my experience, I think it all boils down to the woman having boundaries and standards. If you don't have really any standards, you will, as the letter writer pointed out, just jump at anyone who shows you interest. And unfortunately, there are a lot of young women with that need for validation from a male. They don't feel like no matter what kind of career success they've achieved, educational success, just life experience success that they've achieved financially, bought a home, all this kind of stuff, they still feel like something is missing, that they're not good enough, that they're incomplete, unless they are aligned with a partner. Now, I'm going to use that word because, you might not really be heterosexual. That's really what we deal with on this channel, but I'll be a little gracious and include other people in my commentary today. So whatever your choice of partner is, you don't feel good about yourself unless you can look across the table and there's somebody there. Now, I know loneliness is a real issue for people. They don't really have many friends. They don't really have many hobbies or things that get them out of the house and around other people. They spend a lot of time on the internet or just watching television, solo activities. And that human contact is what they're craving. There's a lot of ways to get that. You don't have to get it from a partner. And from what I can see from the relationship advice column, most women who think they're going to get that from a partner are not getting it anyway. So it becomes this real conundrum. It's like, okay, you got into this relationship thinking this was going to solve all your loneliness and companionship problems, but why are you writing me then? What's really going on here? So having standards, I think, will eliminate a lot of the problems that come because you would screen out people that don't meet your standards. If you got this dude that wants to move up in your house, but he don't have no job, he don't have no credit, he don't have nothing to offer except some whatever is in his pants, and then you try to fix that around and fluff that around to make that into a viable relationship. Well, what happened to your standards? Shouldn't you be looking for someone who could come in the door holding his own? Shouldn't you be having a standard for someone who is someone that you can be proud of, that you can look at and admire? So someone who does and handles himself and does his life and his business in such a way that you greatly respect and admire him. Why would you want to have someone who is a bum and sit up there trying to mold him into a man when he's already grown? He's grown. What you see is what you're going to get. Past the age of about 25, men don't really change. Really, past the age of about 19. They may improve as far as education and career, but their mentality and their personality is already set once they in their teens. So what you see as far as him being angry, him being a type that blames other people, having a violent streak, being very irresponsible financially, being irresponsible, having children all over the place. These kind of things are personality traits, and no matter how much you love this man, how much time and energy you invest in him, how much you help him, how much of his bills and responsibilities you cover, he's still going to be the same bum that he was the day that you met him. That's set in stone, okay? So excuse me for saying 25, because as I said, no, that's not true. They're either on the road to greatness or they're on the road to failure by the time they hit 18. It's set. So whatever you get in that man, stop thinking that you have the power to love him into changing. It's not going to happen. The other thing is having boundaries. Now, a lot of you don't. I mean, the boundary violations are, well, I can't even say they're violations because you don't have any to violate. You have never said any. You don't say no. You don't say you can't do that to me. This is not going to happen. We're not going to do that. Not in my house, not in my car, not with my money. You guys don't say that. In some way, shape, or form, you have some kind of belief that you have to be this overgiving, caring, nurturing being to this grown man who has a mama. That's not you. That's not your role in his life to mother him. I mean, everybody likes a little pat up and, they're sad or something, or, it's going to be greater later. It'll be all right. This kind of thing. But you can get that from your female friends. You could have bosses if someone dies and you at a job. Your boss could give you a hug and pat you up and say, it'll be better. I'm really sorry this happened to you. This kind of thing. So you don't have to limit receiving that from a partner. But if you don't have any boundaries about what you will and will not accept, how you will and will not be treated, how you will and will not be talked to, how somebody will and will not treat your property, your children, your other loved ones, anything that is yours that's important to you, including people, places, and things, then you're going to just be like a rug. You're just going to get walked on, used up, and taken for granted. When you don't have boundaries and you don't really have much in the way of standards for the partners that you choose, you just bounce from one person to another. Just like the letter writer said, anybody who shows you kind of any interest, you're there. You're trying to make it work. You're trying to see what can I do to make this last. Does he like me? You focusing on stuff like that instead of is this man going to meet my needs? Is this man somebody that I can work with? Does this man understand compromise and negotiation? Is this man a sexist pig? Is this man a complete fool where I have to do all the thinking, I have to do everything, all the planning because he's incapable of doing it, and that leaves me responsible for this grown man and all the decisions in this household, in this relationship? Why would you want a child in the form of an adult male or whatever, like I said, your partner, whatever? Why? What's going on there? Why do you think that that's something you should do? So essentially, when you have people like this that don't really have a standard, they don't really have a plan, they don't really have a type, they don't know what they're looking for, they don't know what's good for them, they don't know anything. So here comes somebody saying, hi, you cute, can I get your number? Okay. And then the next thing you know, you're trying to make it out to be something. You didn't do any screening. You just like bouncing around and rolling around from person to person like a tumbleweed. That's the best analogy that I could come up with. Like a tumbleweed in the wind, just being blown hither and yon, with no direction, no purpose, no focus, no plan, no nothing. Just blowing around from person to person. The key to success in dealing with relationships, because we all going to make a mistake, or somebody's going to run game on you and they're going to appear to be something that they're not, and you find out a little bit later. Sometimes you find out they married, or they got somebody pregnant in the cut, they living with something. There's all kind of things that you'll find out. They have a prison record, they got a bunch of stray miscellaneous kids and baby mamas. Things that'll come up and you decide, I don't know if I really want to deal with that. The key to extracting yourself from that situation, and from even getting involved with people like that from the get-go, is having the ability to control your emotions. There's an entire video on this channel, I'll try to remember to link to it up above, it goes into great detail about how you do that and why it's so important, so I won't go into too much of that here. But controlling your feelings, you got to remember that a narcissist that's their goal, is to get control of your mind and your body, your money and your sense of self, by controlling your emotions by what they say and how they treat you. The only way that you have to protect yourself is to steal yourself, so that their emotional information gathering type games and power trips don't affect you. That requires you to have a strong mind. That requires you to not be one of those kind of women that runs around with your heart on your sleeve, emoting all over the place, crying and telling somebody, what I feel and what I want and all this kind of stuff. You know that's the only thing that's important. If you know it and he's not giving it to you, since you've controlled your emotions, you can cut him off real easy. Yeah, you might be a little sad and miss some of the fun parts and the good parts, but the bottom line is that this continuing there in the sunk cost fallacy type of relationship, where you just throw more good time after bad, is something that would be detrimental to you. So you focusing on yourself and your needs and what's best for you, control your emotions in that respect, and focus on yourself, and you let him go. And like I said, I'm not saying it's going to be a super easy thing, but that's the best choice. And by controlling your emotions, you're not sitting there wallowing in tears and crying after him and stalking him on social media and wondering what he's doing and texting him and calling him and trying to be friends with him after and all that kind of stuff. People who do all that kind of stuff, they're not controlling their emotions. They'll be very reactionary and very, you're just emotion based, and you're setting yourself up to be used by this guy. If he knows that and he's that kind of opportunistic type of dude, he's gonna circle back around with a sob story about, oh my God, it was so wonderful, I didn't know what I was losing, I'm so sorry, baby, let's try again. And then once he gets what he's there for, it might be an overnight thing, it might be a couple of weeks or to a month, but he's gonna eventually just show himself to be the same fool he was, because he hasn't changed. And you're gonna feel stupid because you didn't control your emotions, like I said, and got yourself involved with a nut again. The secret to success here is you got to think long range. Think long range. What's your plan, girlfriend? What is the plan? Do you even have one? Okay, you got to have a plan. You got to think long range, long term, versus what feels good in the here and now. Here and now is great if you're not trying to make a relationship and you can control your emotions and do that. But a lot of women think, especially once they sleep with somebody, they feel like, well, this is my boyfriend now. We have a relationship. And you ain't had no conversation with this clown. You don't know what it is that he's looking for to have a, quote, relationship. You don't know if what he wants is something you even want to give him. Is it even in you to give? Is that the type of woman, is what the woman he's looking for, the type of woman that you are? Or would you have to lose half of yourself in order to fit into that little box that he's talking about? That means that he's not the man for you. Okay, but you don't let your emotions get you involved and attached to a complete fool. And now you're struggling to get away from, because I love him though. But I love him though. That phrase there, and your love for people that's stupid, will get you in trouble every single time. That's why I said you got to control your emotions. Until you have solid proof, you've done your proper vetting, and you know that this dude is a safe bet and he's on the same page as you, because y'all done talked it out. You know what kind of relationship you both are working towards, and how you're going to do it, how it's going to be navigated, what the rules are of the road of the relationship, and you've gone through all of these kind of adult conversations. Then you can start letting your emotions be a little more free, because now you guys, know that you two are on the same page. But that's thinking long term. Like I said, you're thinking long range. If you get your emotions involved in something just because it feels good right now, you're going to be in trouble. And that's the thing, is the problem we keep seeing in the advice column. If you've missed some of those, just go into the playlist, dating and relationship advice. There's hundreds of videos in there because we've been doing the show for years on every Tuesday. I think also, and this requires some logic, and again, putting your emotions aside, using engaging logic, you're going to perform what they call in the business world a cost-benefit analysis. Very pragmatically, very realistically, you're going to look at what this man is bringing to your life. Okay, what is it? Make a list if you have to. Nothing wrong with that. What is he bringing to your life? How is he making your life happier, easier, more fun, more exciting, more satisfying? What is he doing that's benefiting your life? Okay, I hate to be so hard and cold about it, but that's just the way it is. You shouldn't be in a relationship where you're not getting some of your needs met and he's not bettering you. What's the point of that? If you want to do volunteer work and take care of the needy, go down to Salvation Army or some nursing home or something with them seniors that needs people to talk to and laugh with and play checkers with and stuff. You just got all this free time you want to give away to people. Do something that's going to benefit someone who's already contributed to society. Do not waste it on a dusty bum. So you're doing your cost-benefit analysis. Okay, so, what benefits does this person bring versus what is it going to cost you to acquire those benefits? This is very important because you say, okay, so here's the guy who says, well, I'm going to work and I'm going to take care of you. You won't have to worry about nothing. On the surface, that sounds really good. But let's look a little bit at the next level down, because there's a lot of women on YouTube promoting this kind of thing, this, have a man take care of you kind of stuff. But let's look at the cost of that. What is the cost? Okay, you went to college, you got a master's degree. You done put in all these years and all this money to achieve a certain goal that you set for yourself educationally and professionally. He's expecting you to give all that up to stay at home and dust and cook and change diapers. Okay, how satisfying is that going to be for you mentally and emotionally, psychologically, when you have already set your path to be this star player in the professional world? That's what you wanted to do. You're good at it. You bring a lot of positivity to whatever career you've chosen. You a mover and a shaker. Okay, you making moves there. So you have to give all that up. And all that, the cost also is, okay, so now you depended on him for money. What's that going to cost you? You got to hold your hand out like a toddler, like a little teenager to get your allowance. Some of these men, once they get told to control you like that, start to act a complete fool. Some of you never know that, though, until they're in that position, and then they start to yank your chain and want to monitor how much you spend and what you spend it on and look at receipts and tell you no for basic stuff like getting your hair done and stuff that you used to do with your own money. But now you don't have no money because you traded all of that for a man who was going to, quote, take care of you. You see what I mean? You got to do that cost-benefit analysis. What's it going to cost you to get the benefits that he's proposing to bring to your life? And if you've been dating him long enough, have you seen these benefits, or is he just selling wolf tickets? These are all like pie in the sky dreams. He wants you to give up all this stuff to get this maybe, possibly in the future gonna maybe do. Well, then I would have to say you like walking on the edge of stupid there. Okay, so really before you make any decision, I advocate, especially for young people, start teaching your kids to think beyond the here and now, what's in their face. So teaching your kids or setting them up with lessons so that they learn how to play chess is a great way to get their mind focused on and then what. It is a way to make decisions that make sense. So you don't think about, well, yeah, I'm just going to do this because then I'll get that. Okay, well, that's a choice and that might work for this minute, but then what? Okay, so you do A and then you get B. Well, what else is going to happen after that? Did you think about that? What are the repercussions? What other things are going to happen because you made the choice of B instead of the choice of E, G, or S? What is going to be the repercussions and the changes and challenges that you may face with each of those decisions? Did you think that far? A lot of you don't seem to. You just picked a man because he was cute. He had that thing. Next thing you know, you pregnant. You ain't married. He ain't talking about marriage. So you're going to be a single mama. But see, you didn't think about all that when he was talking like, yeah, I want to have kids. You're supposed to slow him down and say, well, where's your, what you talking about getting married and, you got a trust fund for the kid? What you got here? You barely working. What you doing talking about you want a baby? You can't hardly afford to pay your own bills. You don't deserve a child. Well, you're out your mind. But you don't say stuff like that because you be all caught up in your feels and thinking about, oh my God, a baby with him, it would be so cute. It would be so wonderful. I would be the mother of his children. I'm having this baby for him. And all this kind of drivel and crazy talk y'all be doing. I don't understand it. Why you want to sacrifice your life for some dust bucket? You don't think, and then what? Because you think, okay, well, I'm only making this amount of money and I'm not even finished with school yet. And if I have a baby, well, that's going to mean this, that, this, and the other. And so he's want to talk about he's going to be here right now, but he ain't showing me no ring and commitment. What am I thinking? I would be tied down with this kid for 18 years and be broke as hell while he's on about his business making 5 other kids with 5 other women, and I'm stuck here looking stupid on this romantic fog I was living in. You have to think like that sometimes. And I know it's hard. I know it's really not romantic and it's not what most of you want to hear. But that's what it is. I mean, look around you. Look at all the women that's single mothers and the fathers are nowhere in the picture. They got abandoned, just like the kids did. Why set yourself up to be in that trick bag with them? Be smarter about your choices, okay? Ask yourself, and then what? And I think 90% of the time, if not more, you won't do that thing that you was thinking about if you just take 10 minutes to think through the options and the possible repercussions of the choices that you're faced with. I think it's important, who you choose. I've said this before in other videos, but who you choose as a partner is one of the biggest decisions that you will make in your life. It will either wreck your life completely or it will bring you joy to your last breath. Who you choose is a more important decision than what you eat, what you drive, where you live, where you go to school, all those kind of things that people just do all kind of research on and go and they Google it and they look at consumer reports and they do all this research and analysis. But you don't do that about a relationship partner. I just find that fascinating. Like, what is it that makes you think that a man should be exempt from being scrutinized like you would before you buy a car at a dealer? Why would you? That he's going to impact your life more than a car, which you could sell. Cars get told out, you get a new one. But you got some man who's all up in your house, all up in your life. You have kids with him. Your money's commingled with his. Your families are commingled with it. That person has a great impact on your life. And it could be, like I said, be very joyous and wonderful, or it could just take you to the depths of despair. Either way, you guys, ladies, come on now. You've got to do better about choosing the men that you decide to align yourself with. You're not paying enough attention to what this man is all about. These dudes, these women writing these letters on the advice column, these dudes are depressed and they on all these meds and they can't work and they, want to unlive themselves every other day, and it's just all this drama going on. And I don't understand why they would choose a man like that, especially these young ladies are, they're young and they're trying to move and shake. They're in their 20s, and the guys are also in their 20s, but they're bums. They're just like an albatross around her neck, weighing her down, where she could fly if she would just dump the loser. And I know a lot of young women are like, well, you just don't want me to have anybody. You just want me to be single. No, I don't want you to be unhappy, nor I don't want you to be single. But I see if you're in a situation like that, please tell me how that's benefiting you and how that's making you happy. If you were so happy, you wouldn't be writing an advice column about the problem that you having. And the problem isn't something like, oh, he won't wash the dishes. No, these are like these problems that you guys have are permeate the entire relationship. You're taking on way more responsibility for him than he takes for himself. And this happens over and over and over again, and I just don't understand it. Especially ones where you say you're not even, nothing even happening in the bedroom. It's like, okay, well, I really don't get it now. I mean, what are you doing? A lot of women use that for excuse, but if you don't even have that going on, you really need to question yourself. So think about that. This is just a light go over of response to this guy's question. Some people have no standards and jump with anybody. And I think the more standards you have, it does become more difficult to get into a relationship because you're pickier. You have standards that someone has to meet. So you're going to go through more people until you find it. So you won't be in a relationship. You may date a lot, but you won't commit to anybody until you find someone who meets your standards and is going to really be a benefit to your life, so you can benefit them in return. But, if you just was willing to take anybody, anything, yeah, you can be in a relationship every other week with somebody new. That in itself is not an accomplishment. The accomplishment is with staying focused, on track, knowing what you need long term to be happy, and then not settling for less. Any comments or questions you may have, we welcome to look at them, and we'll respond to them and have a good discussion on the board below the video. Please hit that subscribe button before you get up out of here, and the instant notification bell, so you can get notified when we do an upload or schedule a live. I'll see you guys soon. Bye-bye.